Great, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Luzanne Lottring, Marketing Manager here at CardioLog Analytics, and I'll be kicking things off today. Today's session is called ROI or Shelfware, the data-driven guide to Microsoft 365 AI adoption. As organizations rush to deploy Microsoft 365 Copilot and AI tools, many are discovering that AI success has very little to do with the AI itself and everything to do with the quality of the data behind it. The reality is simple. If SharePoint is cluttered with outdated content, inactive sites, duplicate files, and low value information, AI becomes less accurate, less useful, and significantly more expensive. So today, we're going to look at how behavioral analytics helps organizations prepare their SharePoint and Microsoft 365 environments for successful AI adoption and measurable ROI. For today's agenda, we'll start with a quick introduction to CardioLog Analytics, and then we'll look at why AI initiatives fail when organizations treat SharePoint as storage instead of a strategic data source. From there, we'll cover how to identify redundant and inactive content before AI consumes it, how to find the users and teams most likely to drive AI adoption and ROI, why behavioral baselines are critical before rolling out Copilot, and how to transform SharePoint usage data into an executive AI readiness roadmap. We'll also walk through a live demo showing how CardioLog Analytics helps organizations prepare their environments for AI success. And we'll wrap up with a short Q&A session at the end. So I'll start with a brief introduction about who we are. CardioLog Analytics has been around since 2005, focused on analytics and engagement solutions designed specifically for SharePoint, Teams, and other Microsoft 365 environments. Our flagship solution, CardioLog Analytics, supports all versions of SharePoint, including SharePoint Online, SharePoint 2019, Subscription Edition, as well as Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, Viva Engage, and Exchange. Our solution is available both on-premise and as a SaaS version powered by Power BI. Our goal is simple: to help organizations continuously improve their Microsoft 365 environments based on how people actually use them. And now, increasingly, that means helping organizations prepare their environments for AI adoption. Now, let's talk about the challenge organizations are running into with AI. Most companies are approaching Microsoft 365 Copilot expecting immediate productivity gains, but there's a major issue. AI only performs as well as the content it can access. If SharePoint contains outdated documents, abandoned sites, duplicate files, poor navigation, or irrelevant information, AI cannot distinguish between valuable content and noise. And that creates what many organizations are now experiencing: a data swamp. Instead of improving productivity, AI starts surfacing outdated information, irrelevant documents, or low value content. Users lose trust in the results, adoption drops, and expensive AI licenses quickly become shelfware. The key to successful AI adoption is not just enabling Copilot, it's preparing the environment behind it. That starts with understanding what content is truly valuable, which users are actively collaborating, what information employees actually rely on, and what should never be fed into AI models in the first place. And that's exactly where behavioral analytics becomes critical. Let's look at how this works in practice using real behavioral data. What you are seeing here are CardioLog Analytics dashboards designed to help organizations understand the current state of their SharePoint or Microsoft 365 environments before rolling out AI initiatives. Because before deploying Copilot, organizations need answers to severe critical questions. What content is actually being used? Which sites are inactive? Which users are driving collaboration? Where are the employees struggling to find information? And what data is simply noise? This is how you move from AI assumptions to AI readiness. This is where organizations begin separating valuable data from digital clutter. What you're seeing here is a complete view of your SharePoint environment across on-premise, online, or hybrid deployments. But the most important part is not visibility, it's prioritization. Because not all SharePoint content contributes equally to AI value. In most environments, roughly 20% of content drives the majority of engagement and collaboration. That means most of what exists in SharePoint is either rarely accessed, outdated, duplicated, or simply irrelevant at this point. And if AI consumes that content, the quality of the AI experience declines immediately. So instead of feeding AI everything, organizations need to identify what actually matters. Here you can see the most active content. This is the information employees consistently rely on. The content AI should prioritize. The content most likely to contribute to useful and accurate responses. Now let's look at the opposite side. Here you can see the inactive content. Unused sites, documents nobody accesses, pages with little to no engagement. This is where the AI data swamp starts, because every inactive document AI indexes increases noise. It becomes harder for users to get relevant answers, and organizations continue paying to store and govern content that delivers no business value. So instead of blindly exposing everything to AI, organizations can make informed decisions, archive it, clean it up, or remove it entirely. And that is how you improve both AI quality and long-term ROI. And importantly, you're not guessing. You can see exactly where the content was last used, who interacted with it, and whether it still provides any value. You can also see additional information like content ownership, storage size, and that allows administrators to identify large inactive content and work directly with owners to determine whether it should be archived, improved, or removed before AI rollout. You can also drill down further by content type. For example, if you only want to analyze documents, instead of all the content, you can filter the report accordingly and immediately focus on that specific content category most relevant for AI optimization. Again, this is how organizations reduce both technical debt and AI noise before deployment. Now let's move into adoption and behavioral readiness. Because AI success is not only about content, it's also about people. Here you can clearly see active versus inactive users. Which teams collaborate heavily? Which departments rely on SharePoint consistently? And which areas show little engagement? And this becomes extremely important for AI rollout strategy because not every employee will generate the same AI ROI. In reality, a relatively small group of highly engaged users often drives the majority of adoption and productivity gains. These are your power users, the employees already collaborating heavily, searching frequently, consuming content, and actively engaging across Microsoft 365. These are typically the users most likely to benefit from Copilot first. And this matters because AI licensing costs add up very quickly. So instead of deploying AI broadly without visibility, organizations can identify where adoption is most likely to succeed first. That means better ROI, better rollout strategy, and reduce wasted licensing costs. And this also helps organizations identify collaboration maturity across teams and across departments. Because successful AI rollout should not begin everywhere at once, it should begin with the groups already demonstrating strong collaboration behaviors and active engagement within Microsoft 365. CardioLog Analytics helps organizations benchmark what productive and AI-ready behavior actually looks like. That allows leadership teams to prioritize AI rollout strategically instead of deploying licenses broadly without visibility into likely adoption success. You can also break this down or right now, by default, it's broken down by department, but you can also break it down um, based on geography, business unit, or any other organizational attribute. So AI adoption becomes measurable and strategic instead of just, I guess, experimental. AI, ROI, and behavioral KPIs. Now, beyond adoption and engagement, one of the biggest questions leadership teams are asking today is very simple. How do we actually prove AI ROI? Because once organizations begin investing heavily in Copilot licenses, executives immediately want measurable outcomes. And this is where behavioral analytics becomes extremely valuable. Here, we can translate user friction and inefficiencies into measurable business impact. For example, we can quantify time wasted on failed searches, productivity loss on or caused by slow performing pages, unused or inactive user licenses, and even content being created that nobody ever accesses. So instead of simply saying productivity feels better after AI rollout, organizations can establish a measurable baseline beforehand. That means later you can compare, did search efficiently improve? Did employees spend less time navigating? Did collaboration increase? Did AI reduce wasted effort? Because without a behavioral baseline, proving AI ROI becomes almost impossible. And that's where many AI initiatives struggle. Now let's have a look at search behavior. Because search data reveals something extremely important, what employees are actively trying to find. Here you can see the top search terms across the organization. And this tells you what information employees rely on most heavily. If users consistently search for specific terms or resources, those become high priority candidates for AI optimization. But search also reveals friction. Let's have a look at these fail searches. This is where organizations often uncover major AI readiness problems. If employees search repeatedly and don't click um, on the results, it means they are not finding what they need. That may indicate missing content, poor metadata, weak information architecture, duplicate content even, or outdated documents cluttering results. And if employees already struggle finding trusted information manually, they are far less likely to trust AI-generated answers. AI does not fix poor information architecture. It amplifies it. If your environment already contains outdated, duplicated, or difficult to find information, AI will surface those same problems, but at scale. And that's why improving search quality and content discoverability before AI rollout is absolutely critical. Organizations that succeed with AI are usually the ones that first reduced friction in how employees access information. So before rolling out AI, organizations need to resolve these gaps first. And this is where behavioral analytics becomes incredibly valuable. Because instead of assuming where the problems are, you can see exactly where the productivity is already breaking down. Now let's move into navigation and user journeys. Because this shows how employees actually move through SharePoint, not how it was designed, but how it is truly being used. Here you can identify where users drop off, which navigation paths require or create friction, which pages are difficult to access, and where users struggle to reach critical information. This becomes especially important with AI because when employees cannot efficiently navigate or locate content today, AI adoption becomes even more difficult tomorrow. You can also identify inefficient user journeys. For example, if users consistently take indirect paths to reach frequently used resources, that's a sign the environment needs restructuring. Again, this is not guesswork. This is measurable behavioral data, and that allows organizations to improve the user experience before introducing AI on top of existing friction. Now let's look at portal resources and content growth, because this is where organizations begin understanding the long-term cost implications of AI. Here you can see how content grows over time across your environment. And this matters because every piece of content exposed to AI carries operational cost. Storage, governance, security review, indexing, compliance, but more importantly, unnecessary content increases AI noise. So organizations need to ask, does this content deserve to be part of our AI ecosystem? And you can quickly identify which sites are growing rapidly, which areas consume the most storage, which teams actively contribute valuable content, and where content is simply accumulating without engagement. Also, this applies directly to AI licensing strategy because many organizations are concerned about overspending on Copilot licenses that ultimately go unused. Behavioral analytics helps identify which users are truly active, collaborative, and positioned to benefit from AI tools. So instead of assigning expensive AI licenses broadly across the organization, companies can focus investment on the users most likely to generate measurable productivity gains and business value. And that significantly reduces the risk of AI shelfware. This is how organizations begin transforming SharePoint from passive storage into an optimized AI-ready knowledge base. Now, beyond dashboards, we also provide augmented analytics directly inside SharePoint pages. This allows organizations to visualize exactly how employees interact with content in real time. We can track where users click. Let me show you that real quickly. Which areas of a page receive the most attention, where engagement drops off, and which content users ignore entirely. You can even visualize this through heat maps and interaction overlays directly on the page itself, as you can see. And this becomes extremely valuable for AI readiness because AI value depends heavily on content accessibility and engagement. If employees consistently interact with certain resources, pages, or navigation paths, that's a strong signal that this content is strategically important and should be optimized for AI discovery. On the other hand, if content receives little engagement, organizations can question whether that information should even be surfaced to AI systems at all. Again, this this removes assumptions and replaces them with actual behavioral evidence. Now, one of the biggest mistakes organizations make with AI adoption is this. They never establish a baseline before a rollout. So 6 months later, leadership asks, did Copilot actually improve productivity? And nobody can answer confidently because there's no behavioral benchmark. That's why measuring the before is critical. Before enabling AI, organizations need visibility into search efficiency, collaboration patterns, user engagement, content consumption, navigation friction, and overall behavioral trends. This creates a measurable baseline. So after the rollout, organizations can compare. Did search time decrease? Did collaboration increase? Did productivity improve? Did employees engage more effectively with content? Without that baseline, AI ROI becomes impossible to prove, and that's often where AI initiatives lose executive support. So that said, let's hop over to Q&A. If there's anyone who wanted to still send a question, please do so. I do have one question from Jaylin. Do you have a trial? Yes, we offer both a free trial and a proof of concept for organizations that want a more in-depth evaluation across multiple environments and features. Feel free to reach out. Let me put our contact details on the screen. Feel free to reach out to us for more details. Next question, from Eric, are your solutions available in App Stores? Yes, both our analytics and engagement solutions are available on Microsoft App Stores under Apps. So you can find us there. All of our different solutions or tools can be purchased through App Stores. And I see I have one more question here from Ivan. Does it take a long time to deploy? Not at all. The solution is built specifically for SharePoint, so there's no need for complex customization. The setup is typically quite smooth, and we can get it up and running in an hour or two, and you can start collecting all this valuable data right away. So with that all said, I'll wrap up our session today. If you'd like to learn more or schedule a one-on-one session or demo, feel free to reach out. You can contact us at info@intlock.com. You can visit us at www.intlock.com, or you can join our readers at blog.intlock.com. Thanks again for joining. And remember, AI success does not start with Copilot. It starts with the quality of the data behind it. I hope to see you all again soon for future webinars. Take care.